The Body in Big Brave, Leaving None But Small Birds, album review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about the latest from Big Brave and The Body. This is their first collaborative project together. Now, Big Brave, over the last couple of years, has been a really interesting band to watch grow. They are a Canadian experimental metal band. They've released some pretty cool stuff on Southern Lord Records as well. Ever since I first heard their debut, Feral Verdure, I honestly just thought they were making really ugly, noisy, gritty music, but making it kind of beautiful as well. Around the time of Au-delà, they were blending elements of noise rock and post-rock with their music as well for this blend of genres that's actually really disgusting and visceral at the end of the day, but also very cinematic, very telling. There's also been some lesser moments in their discography. I thought Ardor was a little one-note, but they won me back with A Gaze Among Them, which I thought was really cinematic and bold. Now, if there's one thing I thought about Big Brave's music over the years, honestly, they confirmed it this year earlier with their album Vital that they put out. They were slowly getting more dreamy, dreary, and most importantly, dark, which is why when I saw this album coming from a mile away, my mouth began to water because they're working with The Body here. And The Body, if you don't know, are modern masters of experimental metal, and if you've watched this channel or read my past reviews, you'll know that I've been all over the place when it comes to The Body's music over the years. Sure, some of their solo albums are okay. Like, I fought against it, but I can't no longer. I've always thought that album was one of their best solo recordings. However, time and time again, it is their collaborations that make my mouth water, whether it be the two fantastic albums that they put out with Full of Hell. We'll be chatting about the new Full of Hell album tomorrow, or maybe their album with Uniform, which I thought was really underrated, and my all-time favorite project that The Body has touched, their collaboration with the Hacks and Cloak. I was even more intrigued about this product when I heard some of the singles leading up to this thing. This is not nearly what I expected. I was expecting some disgusting, ugly, but sort of gorgeous mess at times, but instead what we get here is a droning, monolithic album of psychedelic folk. This album starts off with Blackest Crow, and not for nothing, this is a freaking stunning intro. I mean, like I said, it is not where I expected this album to be at all. But I think that's what makes it half exciting. In a weird way, it's kind of bright and sunny, like at least compared to other things I've heard from both of these artists. But it has these big, industrial-sized drones. And alongside of Robin Waddy's very intense, very commanding performance, it makes for something really hypnotic, something that you could really escape into. And it's something you really need to sit with, because I'm going to be honest, while this from a distance sounds a little bit more out in the open, a little less suffocating than anything that either two of these artists have put out over the years, it is dark in its own way. You just have to look a lot harder. It's a really transcendent track that's actually pretty hard to put into words. But outside of that, both acts are well outside their comfort zone, and I don't mind the 8-minute runtime. This is a fantastic start. And like I said, this isn't exactly where I thought we'd be right now, but that's not a bad thing. I really love Oh Sinner as well. The pacing on this track alone has me on the edge of my seat. And while this album has a lot of folk tendencies, it's a really bold album, like as dark and droning and mysterious and eerie and, I don't know, surreal as this album is at times. There's something, inviting about it. It's also very colorful in their own way. And you know what? I don't think this is a perfect album, and I know that I'm not going to get it, but I really wish that we heard more from these two in the future, going further and deeper down this rabbit hole that they start on this album. Once I Had a Sweetheart, on the other hand, is one of the bleakest tracks here. Like I said, there is little on this album that is overtly dark and twisted and evil, but there is an abundance of dark undertones, like I said, and I don't think it gets any more bleak than this. This, honestly, sounds the closest thing to a Big Brave track. It's sort of bluesy, it is absolutely tragic, there is no hope in sight. but it's also just so hulking and massive sounding. This is a hell of a sound. And Polly Gosford is really great as well. This almost sounds like some old school Chelsea Wolfe, like Apocalypsis era. It's got these big, meaty guitars, and Robin's vocals are just so tortured and haunting. It is one of the most bleakest, horrid things that I've heard all year, and I can't help but eat it all up. And then we get Babes in the Woods as a finale, and this is a hell of a ride. In an album of just sort of dark undertones and evil from a distance, we have this track. This is tormented and doomed and sludged out in every way. Like, if I heard this at the beginning of a horror movie, I would be on the edge of my seat in excitement. It makes me crave to hear so much more from these two artists. I still do think that they need to sit with this sound a little bit more. Hard Times doesn't do it for me. Look, this track actually has a lot of the same elements as the rest of this album. The haunting vocals, the sunny drones. Compared to the rest of the album though, it's a little scatterbrained and maybe a little too hazy. But look at tracks like Blackest Crow. They breezed by at 8 minutes. This takes forever, and I can be patient with music, but I need a payoff. I don't really seem to get that here. And it's a shame because some of the more psychedelic elements on this track are really cool, but everything else is very, very, very average. And black is the color. I don't know, this is just far from the most interesting sound here. Once again, some of the more hazy psychedelic elements of this track are actually pretty cool. But vocally, this might be Robin's worst performance here. This is also just like really, really flimsy. Like, this isn't a heavy album, but this whole album just has this wall of sound to it. It's just so massive. We don't get that here. Without that, things could average pretty fast. I mean, overall, I think this is a very good collaboration, though. The body has this way of bringing out the most interesting aspects of the weirder side of metal right now. And yes, this is not what I expected going into this album. I was expecting something much more tortured and doomed, and it's certainly here, but it's an interesting sound of psychedelic folk that's just so drony and sunny and massive and hypnotic. It is a very fascinating sound. I honestly wish they'd went deeper down this rabbit hole, and I wish we'd hear a little bit more from them in the future. But for now, Big Brave and The Body sound great together. I'm feeling a very strong 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.